Welcome to the Pita podcast, where we talk about everything from life and mental health to entertainment and passing current events. Thank you for joining us. Let's begin, my fellow Pitas. Welcome back to the Pita Joe podcast. Happy fucking Halloween. I had a great Halloween today. It was a bittersweet Halloween because tonight was the last night that the ex-wife lived here in my house. She got her own place, but we're being amicable, like I've talked about before. So yeah, it was a great Halloween. Made some great memories tonight, and we're gonna do this co-parenting shit, and we're gonna knock it out of the park. So, trying to remain optimistic, as you should in life, as everybody should. So that's it for today. I had a great time. So now let's get to the topic, which is the review of GERALD'S Game, which is a 2017 Netflix movie. It's an adaptation of a Stephen King novel from 1992. The book is one of the few Stephen King books I have never read. I have it on my list, never read it. And I'm a huge Stephen King fan, so I really need to fucking read this book. But as far as the movie, wow. What a claustrophobic, psychological horror this was. There's tons of dialogue in it because most of the movie takes place inside of a bedroom. But through this heavy dialogue, the movie delivers a really good backstory of both Jesse and Gerald's life. Mainly Jesse, mainly her history and her life. And it basically sets the stage for where their marriage is at. It's a rocky marriage, and they're just going through this phase. As anybody who's married knows, most likely, unless you have a perfect marriage, which I don't think exists. But yeah, so you could see the flaws of their marriage. So they decide to go on a getaway trip in the middle of the woods in this really cool looking cabin type house. They didn't really show a lot of it from the outside. But so anyways, like I said, their marriage is kind of on the rocks. So they figure this would be cool. We could go there and figure out our sex life and get back on track. All right, so they get in the bedroom. Jessie, the chick, is all dolled up. She's in this fucking sexy ass lingerie, like a one piece. Carla Gugino plays Jessie, the main character. Don't even get me started on her. She's gorgeous. Like I said on my review of Fall of the House of the Usher, she's my new Hollywood crush. Love this chick. But anyways, that's besides the point. So Gerald decides we're going to do some kinky shit. The husband decides this. He handcuffs her to the bed. And then they're talking, kissing and all this shit. And then all of a sudden, he says something that sets her off, and she not accidentally, but she bites him. And he jumps back, and he has a fucking heart attack. So she's locked into the handcuffs. She's chained to the bed, basically, handcuffed to the bed. And he has a heart attack and falls on the ground. And as he falls, she's like, "Oh, Gerald, what's going on?" She's trying to call out to him. And she sees blood pooling out of his head. She's like, "Oh, fuck, this is actually real." She thought he was kidding around at first. So this is where it starts. She's, like I said, she's helpless. She doesn't have the key. She's handcuffed, both hands to the frame. So she's fucked at this point. So I don't want to go through the whole story because you'll watch it. This is just a review, but that's where we're at as far as the main story. It's a very simple story, in the beginning at least. I want to do a little trigger warning because they talk about, they almost show molestation from the father when Jessie was a little girl, and it bothers the shit out of me. It made me super uncomfortable. As a parent, I hate that seeing that shit or even hearing about it. I know it's a fake movie, but this shit happens in real life, and that's what creeps me out about the whole situation. So basically, they do a little backstory throughout the movie, and it turns out that Jesse's father is molesting her. And it's very bothersome. Sorry, that really bothers me. Okay, anyways, so let's get on. That was my little trigger warning. So, there's not a lot of actors in this movie because it's a really small cast, because the movie takes place, other than the flashbacks, most of the movie takes place in this bedroom with 2 people, sometimes 3, and a dog. So during their trip to this cabin, they see a dog in the middle of the road eating an animal corpse, I think it was like a rat or a mouse or a squirrel or something. There's a rabid dog eating it. So they have to swerve around this dog. They almost hit it. And this dog plays a big part of the movie. So once they get to the cabin, they're all set up. So now we'll go back to where we were. Basically, she's locked in the handcuffs on the bed. I was talking about the actors here. Let me go back here. Let me rewind. So Bruce Greenwood, who plays Gerald, he's a phenomenal actor. You would know him from Fall of the House of the Usher. He plays Roderick, the main guy. Carla Gugino is Jessie, the main chick, the wife. But she's also in Fall of the House of the Usher. She's also in a bunch of Mike Flanagan shit. So if you haven't already known from my previous review of The Fall of the House of the Usher, I fucking love Mike Flanagan. He makes fantastic shows and movies. So this is another one that he fucking nailed, okay? He doesn't make bad stuff. All right, then you got this other character. He's referred to in the movie as the Moonlight Man. This creepy, tall, big-headed, big forehead, having monster-looking, just really tall dude, okay? Creepy. You could tell it's something out of a Stephen King book. Just picture, the creepiest dude from a Stephen King book. So the whole time, you think this dude is, you think she's imagining this guy, okay? He's, standing in the corner of the dark room when it turns nighttime. And he's holding this box of, serial killers keep what do you call it? Why can't I think of the word? Trophies from their victims, okay? So he opens this box, and there's bones in there, there's jewelry, and he opens up for her. A really creepy scene. But, so you end up finding out that this dude he's not fake. He's an actual fucking serial killer that's going around the area and has killed dozens of people. And on top of that, he's a necrophiliac. So he's a disgusting motherfucker, and he's terrifying looking. Like I said, all this is straight out of a Stephen King book. And as a big Stephen King fan, this is what he does. He makes these terrifying characters in his books. And once they come to life on the screen, it's just, man, it scares the shit out of you. So anyways, we got that guy. And then we'll talk about the dog. So the dog, I guess they left the door open. The dog gets in to the house while she's chained up. This dog starts eating her fucking husband's dead body. Really dark shit. Which, it's realistic. If a dog's hungry, probably going to eat meat from a corpse because it's a dog. It doesn't know any better. That's part I'll put when we get to the cons and the pros of this movie. I'll talk more about the dog and eating the human meat like that. Anyways. So yeah, the stray dog is a big part. And so the conglomeration of also her husband, the dead one on the ground, gets reanimated basically, but it's it's her vision creating him, okay? I don't think the real Gerald is a bad person or a bad guy, but she perceives him as a bad guy after he's dead. So basically his character is acting like an asshole to her after he's dead, okay? If that makes any sense to you. So we got the three main bad guys, basically. We got the fucking monster necrophiliac serial killer named Moonlight Man. Then we have the dog, the stray dog, who's just eating the dead man's meat, the husband's meat. And the dog bites her at one point, too, because he wants new, fresh meat. So she has to fend off this dog. She can't fall asleep because of this fucking dog and the Moonlight Man in the room and her dead husband talking to her. So through this heavy dialogue, which is greatly written, the dialogue's amazing. Mike Flanagan is a genius with dialogue. But anyways, excuse me. Get some water here for a second. So then we start to see the flashbacks. I already talked about the father, the molester father. So he molests her during a solar eclipse. They're sitting out in a park watching a solar eclipse when she's a kid. She's probably like, I say 13, maybe not even in the flashback. So he's being disgusting. He's molesting her. He's jerking off while she's on his lap at the park. Fucking disgusting. I don't even want to talk about it, but so let's get past that. So that's the backstory. Her father molested her. He's a piece of shit. And she envisions her husband, who is an older guy than her in the movie. He's probably got like 20 years on her. Once he's dead, she pictures him as her father. So basically, Moonlight Man and her husband are basically characters she made up in her head. No, see, I said that wrong. She didn't make them up in her head. Well, she made the husband talking to her up in her head. But that serial killer guy is actually there. For some reason, he doesn't actually kill her, okay? He creeps her the fuck out, but he does not kill her. The dog, I want to say it's a metaphor for something, but I didn't get that part in it. But I think definitely Moonlight Man and her husband are basically, what do you call it? Conglomerations, like combined versions of her father. Okay. That's what I got from it. So the story is mainly told, like I said, through the dialogue and the flashbacks. It's a shorter movie. I think the runtime was an hour and 43 minutes with the credits. So I'd say about an hour and a half, which is pretty short, but for the setting, it kind of had to be short. So I'm going to get to... I'm going to do a little fun fact here. So the actor who plays the fucking disgusting father is none other than Henry Thomas. He famously played Elliot on E.T. He was the little boy on E.T. He's been in a lot of Mike Flanagan shit. Mike Flanagan tends to use a lot of the same actors for all of his shows and movies. So you'll see Henry Thomas in pretty much everything he does. He's a great actor, but he's just a disgusting role in this one. He was a disgusting role also in Fall of the House of the Usher. He was probably my least favorite character in that whole fucking show. Anyways, so let's go through... Now I'm going to go through the list of pros and cons. I'll start with the pros, so I can be a little optimistic here. The pros: fantastic writing. I already touched on that. Phenomenal. In order to make a movie that's basically about a woman stuck in one room, you have to have good writing and good dialogue between her and the ghosts of her past. Flanagan nailed the writing. The actors nailed it. They nailed the dialogue. Bruce Greenwood and Carla Gugino, both did fucking amazing. I can't say it enough. Them two together are just pure gold. We saw that in Fall of the House of the Usher. Just phenomenal actors and actresses. All right, so that's one of my pros is the dialogue, the acting. And like I said, okay, so when Carla cries on screen as Jessie, you feel the emotion. You feel that it's real. You feel her terror, her bravery, her sadness. You feel all of that through the acting. And Bruce Greenwood playing the conniving ghost of the husband, Gerald. You felt, wow, this guy is really a piece of shit. And that goes all to the acting. This movie probably would have been mediocre without the acting. If you put a bad actress in there instead of Gigino, then you don't have the same satisfying piece of film that you got from it. So Flanagan, he definitely knows how to cast. Whoever he hires to do that knows how to cast. Like I said, the Moonlight Man, he's a pro of this movie. He was fucking terrifying. He was a sick serial killer. And you felt like he could just attack her defenseless body at any time, any second. And that left me on the edge of my seat. Well, my bed, I should say. But another pro, the fucking intensity of the film. It was so intense because you see her trying to escape and she sees all these fucking ghosts around her. She sees the rabid dog that just wants meat. And you're just fucking so terrified. I found myself like breathing heavy at certain points because I was like, oh, fuck, what is going to happen? I was so invested in her getting away, getting out of this house. So those are my pros. Oh, also, as far as Jessie, the wife, I also loved how the makeup made her look like she didn't have much time left. Like her lips were so dry and like almost rotting off her face because she couldn't get water. She couldn't get food. You could just tell she was like dying. She didn't have much time left after being on that bed for a couple days straight. So the level of detail with the makeup and, like I said, her performance was great. So let's get to the cons. There wasn't a lot of cons. Well, there was 3 cons to me, and none of them were entertainment breaking at all. They were just small little kind of nitpicks, okay? One of the cons, I wanted Gerald's backstory. I wanted more of Gerald's backstory, okay? I wanted more of the marriage backstory, especially his side of it, to see if he actually was a piece of shit or if he was just blended in with her father, because she had all that built in to her mind, like not trusting men because she was molested by her father. So that was one of my cons. I wish Gerald had more flashbacks, or they had flashbacks in their marriage, which they had none of. I'm curious if Stephen King had more of Gerald's story in the book version. He probably did, I would imagine. The biggest con for me is a simple one. So this is con number 2. This is a simple one for me, and it was that the human meat from Gerald that dog was ripping off looks so fake and cheap. It almost looked like I don't even know, like bloody scrap, I want to say. Like there was no sign of flesh. It all just looked like the insides, which he wasn't even dead that long, so I don't get how it was just the insides like that. But it's just a little con, just me being nitpicky. I just don't see how Flanagan saw the final product of the props and he was like, oh, that looks great, let's keep it in here. No, I just don't get that, but something small. Doesn't really kill the entertainment value for me at all. And the last con, like I said, was the father molesting young Jessie. That scene had me so enraged and so upset, I could have really done without the scene. They could have just inferred it through maybe the husband talking about it more. But to show the scene, I was just like, oh, God, this is so fucking disgusting. It was the most disturbing part of the movie, even more than the horror scenes. And I just didn't like it. I didn't care for it. That probably took a whole point off my review, by the way, just because it was too much. Like I said, as a father, it really bothered me. So that's it for the cons. Like I said, I only had 3 small cons, and none of them were entertainment-breaking cons for me. Just, like I said, I was nitpicking. I had to find some cons, because it's not a perfect movie by any means. So my favorite scene, I'm going to get to my favorite scene. You already know my least favorite scene. I already talked about it. Don't want to talk about it anymore. So my favorite scene is when Jessie finally decided she's going to cut the skin open on her hand. So basically, there's a shelf above her. It's one of those wooden shelves that has like the metal brackets that hold it in, like the sharp metal brackets. So she puts her hand up there and cuts up her hand, up her wrist to like to her middle finger. And then she starts slipping off the handcuff and starts peeling her skin off as it's sliding off her hand. So you see her skin basically sliding off with the handcuffs, which is so disturbing, and I had to turn my head. I felt nauseous for a second, and that takes a lot for me. It was a disgusting yet memorable scene. It's the one scene that'll always stick with me from this movie. Yeah, so that's my favorite scene. So I'm going to give my score now. I'm going to give this 8 pita breads out of 10. So an 8 out of 10. Solid film. Had an eerie atmosphere. Great writing and dialogue. Great acting. Great antagonists. I recommend this to fans of all horror and fans of the GOAT author, Stephen King, because, I mean, I didn't read the book, but I know this is up there for his book-to-movie films. I think it's really good. I'm not going to put it above, like, Green Mile. I'm not going to put it above the newer It. I'm not going to put it above The Mist. I like The Mist better. But it's up there. 8 out of 10. 8 pita breads out of 10. So I definitely recommend this if you have Netflix and you haven't watched it. It's 6 years old. Get out there and watch it, especially if you like Flanagan stuff, because it's a carbon copy of a lot of his television series and movies. All right, so that's it. Hope you guys had a great Halloween. Hope you had fun with your family. Hope your kids had fun. Hope you had fun with your friends. Hope you went to some kick-ass parties. Got fuck-faced. Yeah. All right. Until the next episode. Stay positive. Stay hopeful. Stay positively hopeful. Catch you on the flip side. Thank you for listening in, my fellow Pitas. Follow me on Facebook at Pita Joe Podcast, all lowercase, no spaces. Instagram, Pita, Joe, Podcast, all lowercase letters. And on Twitter, at Pita Joe Podcast, all capitals. Like and subscribe on all the apps the Pita Joe Podcast is streaming on, including Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Apple, Google Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Samsung, TuneIn, Player FM, and last but not least, Podchaser. Thank you.